Hello guys, Fearmaky here. Today I'm bringing you a video on a early access game called Dungeons of Edera. Dungeons of Edera is a roguelite action RPG dungeon crawler featuring a procedurally generated levels, each packed with challenging enemies, bosses, and lots of loot for the aspiring adventure. Unite the factions of Edera. Play through a handcrafted campaign over 3 unique factions to unite your lands against the Ossuary Kingdom. Never play the same dungeon twice. We could argue that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Procedurally generated levels featuring a wide variety of themes with random enemies and bosses from numerous factions means you will never play the same dungeon twice, bringing a new challenge every time you step in. Your character played your way, persistent progression, and an open tree. Skill tree means with each level and skill point you choose, your character's path. Yeah, with the skill tree. Loots, lots of loots. Hundreds of loot options over several rarity types that will boost your abilities and help you specialize your character. Leave your legacy. Spend your gold to rebuild your faction with upgrades that persist through death and aid your next adventurer. Bring in a blacksmith to sell exotic weapons or a trainer from the Fire Mages Guild to unlock magical skills. Alright, well, let's dive right in and let's see what this is about. Alright guys, I put in about 10 hours into this game. The campaign was completed in about 7 to 8 hours depending on how fast you're going or what difficulty you're doing the quest in. The build I initially went with was a one-hander and shield, and I was favoring crit on every single one of my items. I had about a 54% crit chance or 60% crit chance. I was one-shotting mobs, it was really good. But the damage intake, unfortunately, is not balanced correctly, so I ended up dying. And then is when I opened up my, build diversity and went with the ranged build, bow, since I already, had experienced the one-hander and shield. The bow is extremely overpowered, extremely safe. You can do any content with it you want, either in hard, insane difficulty, whatever it is, you pick it. And once you beat the campaign, you do all the quests in Drugger's Keep. There will be a NPC in the center of the map and one to the right. They will unlock this talent tree here, Sufrak, which you can get the Water Magician, and you unlock also two-handed weapons. Okay? So, let's get into the items quickly so you see what I did. So I was favoring lifesteal for the two-handed build because it's extremely overpowered. So I went lifesteal on my bow, lifesteal on my weapon. It only applies to the weapon that you're currently using at the time. That's my ring, my other ring, gloves, helm, chest, legs, neck for the crit chance, lifesteal on the ring, lifesteal on the ring. Anything that says damage on it reflects this damage here. The higher you stack, the more damage obviously you'll deal. Crit chance is really good. High raw damage is extremely good, especially if you're going to bow build. And if you're going to two-handed build later on in the game for insane, I would recommend going heavy into lifesteal and become pretty much unkillable. I would go lifesteal and armor, so that way you do reduce most of the damage you take when you do get hit, and you can just heal right back with an attack, as you'll see the gameplay. Okay? I had a couple of recommendations to the dev where the potion, where mana should be bound to E instead of G. I know we can change that. Actually, let's try that now. See if it actually works. So you got mana on G. Yeah, so I could change that. But then this slot here. Okay, that worked. Even though I bound it to E, the menu still says G for some reason. Why is that? Yeah, that's strange. Okay. Anyways, you have your two-handed weapon here in the first slot. If you're using a one-hander and offhand, they'll reflect it here. I don't think there's a need for the second loadout to be in this box. This should be the health potion, and you should be able to bind it to a Q. And then when you scroll mouse wheel up or down, you know, the bow that's highlighted here should be on this left. And keep the health potion here. This whole menu here as well should be moved up so it's not clipping the action bar. Also recommended to him that when you level, you should get a skill point to put into your base stats in addition to your talent tree. Talent tree I went with is bow, multi-shot, piercing shot. These are the main skills I use for ranged. This is what I use for the one-hander and shield build. It was pretty good. It was decent, not the best. I was not a fan of the shield bash. It would put you behind the mob, to the side of them. It felt clunky to use. The Holy Bulwark aura is okay. I mainly use inner fire for damage. I put all my points in piety. If I had more points, or if I could reach spec, I would go into spirit and then go into magician. And then when you beat the campaign, go into two-hander. Okay, I use whirlwind and I use echo slam. Alright. Fire magic skills are pretty good as well with the one-hander and the wand. The firebolt is, I think, really strong. You can dish out about 2,000 damage with the full mana bar at 98 mana. Okay. The supernova, do not go into this. Extremely underwhelming. It costs 50 mana to use. You can only cast it pretty much twice when you're starting out, or even once, and it does not do enough damage at all. You can do 2,000 damage with the firebolt, where you can only do about 500 or 200 with the supernova and run out of mana. So that definitely needs to be tuned. My echo slam with the two-handed, this is what I use, and then I use whirlwind as a filler. And for ranged, I use multi-shot and piercing shot. Especially if the mobs all line up, 4 or 5 of them, you can shoot through all of them with piercing shot. Okay. For the boons, you can only have 20 perks or boons. Okay. And then if you want to remove them, you just come to the vendor here in town with the lightning bolt, and you can choose to remove a boon. It's extremely expensive, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, early on. But you get a boon every time you complete a quest or a dungeon. There will be a boss either there or a portal that you can port to a boss room. Once you kill that boss, then you can interact with an orb and get a boon. So make sure you explore everything. Never leave the quest right away, okay? So make sure you do that. You do have a stash in town. It's lagging. It's laggy menus when you open it. I recommend having a auto sort button here in the stash, because as you start to put item for your alt or even for yourself, because it is a roguelite game, so when you die, you do lose everything you have equipped unless the item is soulbound. Here's a soulbound item right here. Well, it's the one I have equipped is my legs. So if I die, I won't lose the legs. But majority of the other items you will lose. So you always want to stash items, so in case you die, you have additional items to equip. I recommend him having an auto sort button by item level and by rarity type, so that way you know what's going on here. Because right now it's just a mess. Alright. You have a vendor in town that you can buy items
my friend. What can I
from.
do for you?
You can buy weapons, armor, potions, and tools are your keys pretty much. You can also sell. Tools are your lockpick keys. There is currently a bug in the game where you can dupe only the potions in a lockpick. I already advised the dev of it. I wouldn't recommend you doing it. But yeah, there are some bugs in the game. You can't dupe items, not that I'm aware of. But yeah, the potion stuff like that, yeah, I stumbled upon that bug, and hopefully the dev fixes it. I think the game has has a lot of potential. If he works on the combat, the balance, the damage intake balance, and the flow of the combat, if he adds like a reticle for you to target the mob to know where you're aiming and pointing at, I think it'll be pretty good. Yeah. Aside from that, I think the game really has some good potential. I'll show you some end game play here of a insane mission. You unlock insane after you clear the chapter, chapter 1, all the quests in Drugger's Keep. Then you can talk to an NPC. Only talk to the NPC once you have unlocked your two-handed weapons and your water magic by talking to the NPC in town. There'll be an NPC in the center of Druga's Keep and one to the right at the bridge that I'll show you here in a video later with a graphic. I'll try to pull up the graphic now so you can see Druga's Keep, what it looks like, and then to the right, where I'll be mousing over the axe, you'll see the two-handed weapon NPC, and then you'll see like a frost lake, like that symbol there for the mage. Okay, but yeah, I'll leave you with some end gameplay here so you can see what the game's about. I had fun with it. I think the dev has a lot more work he could put into the game, but it was worth the 8-10 hours I played. It's a fun game. I hope he add some performance patches and balance, and also adds multiplayer in the future. It'll be a good game to grind out. The loot's pretty good. The itemization I thought was really well done. If you stack all damage items, this damage goes up and you can clearly see the difference. You stack all crit, you crit a lot, one-shot mobs as well. I did not go heavy into magic items or magic damage. I didn't feel they were that impactful, especially with the animation and such low mana resource. It just didn't flow. Like, in order for magic spells to actually be efficient, you need to up the damage by like 50 to 100% and give items that give you more mana, will allow you to get more mana as a stat, because stamina regens pretty fast, even though it's not as high either. It regens pretty fast, but the mana doesn't regen fast at all, even with putting points into it. It doesn't regen that fast. So anyways, enjoy the gameplay, and I'll be commenting on that as well. And you guys should check it out on Steam. It's a decent game. Roll deep. Peace. We'll do it on Insane. Oh, this map? Wow, he almost one-shot me. That lifesteal is crazy. Absolutely crazy. leveled. Can I get a new skill here? Let's do the Echo Slam. That helps closing the gap. I like it. I don't know how I feel about that leap ability. Now we're gonna find the boss.
not escape me. This will be your land.
Oh, I didn't remove. I'm maxed out on perks. I can only have 20. Well, there you have it, guys. That is Dungeons of Edera. So, in Drudger's Keep, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. If it's Drudgers. Anyways, in Drudger's Keep, once you beat the game, the campaign, or even before it, there'll be a board. I just pulled up on the video here. These missions are infinite. You can do it on easy, medium, or hard. And the dev told me, they're just infinite loops that you can keep pretty much climbing a tower is what he described it as. But to me, it's just the same maps. There's the dungeon map, there's the forest, there's the caves, and then there's also the open, castle that's broken. That's pretty much all I ran into, those 4 or 5 different variations. There wasn't that much, and it did repeat multiple times. But aside from that, it wasn't a bad game. It's a good game. It has potential, and yeah, I hope you guys go check it out and enjoy it. Take care. Roll deep. Peace.